Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Anthony Norman, aka the Kodo MC, and I'm here with a video because a lot of people ask me, how did you close your first real estate deal? So I'm going to share with you guys today how I made $5,000 in about 11 hours. All right, so hang in there with me, and I'll share my story. But for now, I gotta work. We decided to pivot. The oil and gas industry isn't the only industry in the world. And 4 weeks ago, I was a well technician. Last week, I wrote my first hit single, Quarantine Lover. And this week, I'm being interviewed by CNN. So, all this is the opportunity to pivot to something different. It's the opportunity to spread joy, love, and peace and hope. And that's what I'm trying to do. So you're probably wondering, what the hell am I doing out here in the middle of nowhere? Well, I tell you what, so for the past 7 years, me and my wife have been well technicians. We started our own business called fluidlevels.com, aka 40A&M LLC. And what we do is we optimize artificial lift systems. So we hook up our equipment, see our equipment, to the wellhead, and we can get fluid levels. And of course, if this was a well that was in operation, we can also pull loadings and determine how well the pump is performing. But before I get to the real estate, I gotta handle this business. And then when I get back to the house, I'll let y'all know, and I'll write all the numbers down on paper and all that good stuff. So yeah, stick with me, man. And I'm gonna finish up work. It's 108 degrees today, but I feel great. I'm hydrated, and I can't wait to share my story with you guys. So hang in there. So I just picked up some dinner, headed back home, and yeah, whose turn is it, man? Come on. And then I'm gonna do this video, like I said I was gonna do. And explain to you guys how I earned $5,000 in about 11 hours worth of work. So continue to hang in there with me, man. I know, they be like, get to the point, but shoot, man, you got to see everything leading up to this. Like, I'm doing more than making YouTube videos. I'm doing more than real estate. I'm doing more than oil and gas. I'm doing more than hemp. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing more than being a father. Got to feed the children's. Being more than a husband. Like, I'm all of the above. So anyway, hang in there with me, and I'll see you guys back at the office. Good morning. So it's a totally different day. I got home yesterday with the intent to explaining how I came up with my first real estate deal, making $5,000 in 11 hours. But I got home, got to dealing with the kids, got to holding and feeding my baby, and I didn't get around to making that video. But today, I'm going to do that for y'all, okay? I still have more oil and gas work to do. So I'm on my way towards Big Lake, Texas right now to shoot a couple of H15 fluid levels. And I'm going to handle that business. And then hopefully, in between time, I'll be able to explain to you guys what exactly I did to close that deal. So hang in there with me, and let's get this thing going, man. He didn't make it. Guess it got too hot out here for frogs. All right, so now that I have about a 50-minute drive to my next location, I'm gonna walk y'all through the process that I did to earn $5,000 in about 11 hours worth of work. Now, let me start off by saying that the whole process from seed to check didn't take 11 hours, but the 11 hours was the exact amount of time that I invested into this deal, calling, contracting, docu-signing. So that was the total amount of time I spent. But the entire process took about 39 days. I had to file an extension. So let me just start from the beginning. So our neighbors moved out of their house, and our neighbors had inherited this property, okay, from their mother who passed away, and she left the property to her 3 children. Well, the brother is 2 girls and a boy. The brother, he was the one responsible for selling the property, and you know, they were right next door. Exactly, they were right next door, and so we saw, you know, people moving in and moving out and then coming to get stuff. And so I just go over there one day and I say, hey, are you guys thinking about selling this property, or what are y'all's plans on doing? And they said, well, you know, my brother's in charge of that. Here's his number, call him. So I called him, and basically I said, you know, I want to buy this property. I'm right next door. I think it'll be a great opportunity to either rent or sell, and I would like for you to give me the first right to refusal. And we kind of did a handshake over the phone. 1,000 feet, turn right. And he agreed that some things with probate and whatever they got to do to transfer the property into a trust, that's what he had to do. And I think this was back in February, right, when I actually you know, approached him. He said, yeah, we got a couple of things to do. It might take a couple of weeks. I said, okay. So I followed back up in a couple of weeks, probably at the end of February. In a quarter mile, and turn left onto County Road 250. And I, sorry, that's a little distracting. I need to turn that Google thing off. But anyway, so I reached back out to him. Oh, we still not ready. I said, okay. All right. So I ended up not calling him back, and he ends up calling me right at the beginning of June. I haven't talked to him for 2 months. And of course, everybody knows in March, all hell broke loose with the Rona, oil price wars, stock market crashing, and all kinds of stuff is going on at this time. And so I tell him, I was like, yeah, a lot has changed since the last time I talked to you. And continue for 1 mile. You know, we never really talked about numbers, but I was just like, I know I'm probably not going to be able to give you what I would have offered several months ago. And he said, all right. I said, well, let's take a look at the house. Let me see what all needs to be done to it. And then I'll come back with a quote or an offer price. And so that's what I did. I went and met him at the house. I took my DSLR camera with me and I took several pictures of the house. You know, I was just trying to get as many pictures as possible because I'm not a contractor. I really don't know what it would take to get things done. And so I took as many pictures as possible. And then, you know, against my wife's wishes, I went and signed up.
Turn right.
I went and signed up for PropStream, $99 a month, you know, or $97 or whatever it is. But that allowed me to run my own comps. And I run my comps really tight. So the square footage, I think, was 1,600 square feet. So the way I run my comps is I look at any houses that are 200 square feet over, so from 1,800 and then 200 square feet less, which is 1,400. So from 1,400 to 1,800 square foot houses within a half-mile radius,
for 12 miles.
within a half-mile radius that have sold in the last 6 months. And that's how I run my comps. So I came up with an ARV around 221, and I figured that if I can get him at around 120, that it'll be a good deal, and maybe I can sell that contract to an investor for 140. Well, it didn't work out like that. I ended up well, let me go back, okay? So he said that he wanted around 155, right? That's what he said. He said he wanted around 155. I told him, I don't know if I can get that, but I'll see what I can do. And so when I did all of my comparables and analysis, I came back to him and I told him, I'm not going to make an offer. That's exactly what I told him. I was like, I'm way too far apart. I'm not going to make an offer, and I don't want to insult you. And I just, you know, I don't want you to be mad at me or you know, feel offended of me making an offer price. We used to have a well over here. We used to have a well right over here. And there it is right there. Let me go back over here. Let me go check this well out real fast, see if it's still producing 300 MCF a day. Pulling up in here real fast to see if this I used to pump this lease. Let's see what's going on over here. Okay, so where was I? So, oh yeah. After the tour, after I toured the property and taken a look at everything, take all of my pictures, I said, now how much you thinking you want for the property? And he said 155. And I was just like, well, I was like, maybe a few months ago I could have got you that, but the current situation, you know, with the oil down and the Rona, I'm not sure if I can get that. So I said, okay, let me go run my numbers, and that's when I went to run my comps on PropStream and all that good stuff. So yeah, I came back to him and I got an ARV of 221, and then and you know, minus my fees and the construction cost, I didn't think there was a deal to be made. So I called him. I was like, how you doing, Mr. So-and-so? I was like, I appreciate you selling me your property. I mean, I appreciate you showing me your property, but I'm just not going to make an offer right now. I said, I feel like we too far apart, and I just don't want to offend you. I just don't want you to be upset with me and whatnot. And he said, well, well, how much was it? I was like, no, I don't want to say because I don't want you to yell at me. I don't want you to get all upset. I was like, I'm not going to be making an offer. I was like, I appreciate you showing me your property, but I'm just not willing to do that. He said, well, just tell me what number was it? Well, where you at? And so he kept on. I was just like, okay. I was like, okay. I was like, we at 115. He's, oh, hell no. He said, I'd rather let it sit there and rot than sell it for that. You know, I'll wait till everything blows over, and I'll wait to, and I'll just rather sit there and rot. I was like, man, I understand you could still, and I was still trying to offer him solutions at this point. Like, you could still put this on an MLS or put this on a retail market and get an agent to represent you, because the house did have a roof on it, and it was probably insurable with a little work. Maybe they probably had to put some work into it, but it was probably close to being insured. So no, I don't want to pay no fees for no agent and all that kind of stuff. I just rather sit. I was like, I'm sorry, but yeah, that's where we at right now, and so. I said, yeah, I was like, that was it. And so we hung up the phone, and he ended up texting me back. He texted me back at the end of the week. This is the beginning of the week. He texted me back at the end of the week, and he said, can you do 120? I said, we could probably do 120. So I wrote the contract up for 120, and I sent it over to him, and got it signed. And first mistake, I should have took that contract immediately to the title company and opened title. I didn't, because I wanted to wait until I got me a buyer and then take both of those contracts. So I got the contract signed with him. Then now I have to find a buyer. So I called my one rich millionaire homie. I was like, hey, I got this house over here, man. You want to take a look at it? He said, nah, man, I got too many houses on my books right now that I'm trying to get rid of, so I'm not interested at this time. Dang. Like, he was like 33% of my buying power, right? And so I called another real estate investor / realtor. I said, hey, man, you want to come take a look at this property? He came over, gave it a good look. And he's like, nah, we're not interested at that price at all. And I was like, dang, there's another 33%. So I'm down to my last buyer, the 3 buyers that I know that really have money. And so I ended up calling my, multi-millionaire mentor. And I said, hey, you know anybody that invests in single-family residences? And he sent me a guy's name from his office. And so I got in contact with him, and I showed him the house, and he was saying that they were willing to do it. They were willing to do 115. And I was like, dang, man, I don't know if my buyer wants to go that low. So I went back to my seller. I didn't know if my seller wanted to go that low. So I went back to my seller. I said, I tried marketing this property for what we agreed to, but I'm just not able to. I pretty much exhausted my resources
in half a mile,
trying to get
left onto US 67 North.
I pretty much exhausted my resources trying to get this thing sold, and I said, at this point, the most I can offer you is 110 for the property, and also my buyer is going to pay me a $5,000 assignment fee. So that's the deal.
Turn
you
left.
Can pretty much take it or leave it, and I've exhausted my resources. That's what I told him. He said, oh, I don't know. He's like, let me, check with his sisters. So he checked with his sisters and called me back the next day, and he was like, it's a deal, let's do it. So I wrote him up for 110.
US 67 North for 19 miles.
Wrote him another contract for 110, sent it over to DocuSign, and then I got my my buyer to sign the assignment. And it's funny because I thought that's all I needed to do, and then I dropped the paperwork off. But it was tough finding a title company. The first title company I went to, they said they don't do assignments. So I'm like, well, dang. So I ended up going to a city over to Odessa to open title over there, and they asked me to get an assignment with the seller's approval. They needed the seller's approval too. So the first assignment contract was between my company and the buyer. And the way I had to do it is I had to put my company, the buyer, and the seller on the contract. So I had to send yet another DocuSign to my seller and to my buyer. And anyway, that ended up working out. We opened title. We closed about 3 weeks later. But the day of closing, the day right before closing, my seller gets a HUD statement, and his fees come out to whatever, and he's getting like 106. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, he's pissed off, man. He called me upset. And so I had to call my title company, like, what's going on, man? Why? I didn't know I needed to get a copy of the HUD statement before they sent it to all that stuff. This is all the stuff I'm learning as I go. And so I ended up calling my buyer, and I was like, man, listen, like, you gotta pay for the closing costs, everything besides the taxes and the affidavit and all that stuff we had to do. And he said, so you want me to pay for it? I was like, yes. And I just stood there. I was like, yeah. And then I said, you know what? We were texting at this point. I was like, you know what? I was like, whatever it is, I was like, I didn't say this was my mistake, but I said, whatever it is, man, I'll split the cost with you out of my fee. And he's like, keep your fee, don't worry about it. I'll tell my bank to, because he had already had the wire in place. So I'll tell my bank to hold off because the numbers is gonna change, and then we'll do the deal. Anyway, man, it worked out perfectly. I was able to get the deal done and get the $5,000 check. So it was a lot of learning experience, man. If I was to do it over again, I would have buyer pays all closing costs in my contract, so I wouldn't have to redo that again. I might have to find a new title company because I may or may not want to have my seller. I may or may not want to have my seller involved in the assignment. You know what I'm saying? I think it's unnecessary. I think it was pretty redundant, especially since the contract that I had him sign says and or assigns. So it's just this particular title company probably, but yeah, that's what I'll do. And so to break everything down, I found an inherited property with high equity. They were ready to sell, and I was able to talk to him and run the numbers, run the ARV, come up with a good offer price, and do that deal, man. So that's really all it took. So I'm gonna take this $5,000 and I'm trying to flip it into some marketing so that I can generate some more leads that look very similar to this. Maybe it's an inherited property, an empty property, high equity, and try to duplicate this deal. So the next deal, I want to add a zero to it. I got so many references from friends trying to help me out because I was posting in this wholesaling houses elite, Max Maxwell's group, and just so many people helping me out. So that's the things that I look at, man. I look at Max Maxwell. I join those real estate groups, and I look at Terry and BiggerPockets, and just all kinds of wholesaling, retail, real estate videos on YouTube, and all kinds of books. So yeah, man, that's pretty much the story on how I did my deal, and I'm just saying, like, you can do it too. I'm just telling you, like, if you can get over the fear of talking to people, if you can get over the fear of not knowing what's gonna be next, and just have the confidence to know that you're gonna figure it out and make things right and stand by your word, because that's all I wanted to do, man. Because I told this guy I'm gonna buy his house for $110,000. That's what I intended on doing. Even if I was gonna get, I made a mistake of having the seller paying for some closing costs that I told him that he wasn't gonna have to pay for. And so good thing I was able to remediate that, and he came home with over $108,000 because he had to pay taxes and he had to pay for an affidavit. I thought the title company was trying to stick me, or stick my seller, because I didn't know. I didn't know what it took. I didn't know we need a heirship affidavit or whatever it was called. So those are the things that I learned along the way. But I'm glad I took action. And that's what you have to do too. Take action, man. Drive for dollars. Look at distressed weeds that grown up properties. They look empty. They look like they need some work. Those are the properties that are ripe for wholesaling, and those are the properties you need to get on the contract. And anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna wrap this whole thing up, man. I'm headed east on 67 right now in the middle of West Texas, and I love y'all. Y'all stay blessed, and I'll catch y'all on the next. Oh, excuse me, Lord have mercy. I'll catch y'all on the next one.